How are you guys doing? Today is Wednesday, May 11th, 2022. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I am going to recap all the games in Elite matchups and performances that happened from yesterday, Tuesday, May 10th. And of course, I'm going to preview everything that's going on today and taking a quick look at what's going on around the rest of the league as we get into it. Starting with the NBA, there are still 8 teams left that are competing for the title, as after yesterday, there are now 2 more teams that are facing elimination. There are now 3 teams out of the 4 possibly that could be out of the 8 teams that are now facing elimination. Taking a look at what's going on with hockey, the NHL saw a bunch of Game 5s yesterday and no one got eliminated, so there are still 15 teams left in the Stanley Cup final or in the Stanley Cup playoff competing for the final. Taking a look at what's going on in the MLB, we are in about the second month of the MLB season as teams are starting to gain momentum and start to see themselves out in the standings. Not to mention, looking out with soccer, there were still some domestic games yesterday as title races are starting to come to their end. With that said, I'm going to start with the 2 playoff basketball games from last night. Starting off in Miami, the Eastern Conference's 1 seed Miami Heat hosted the 4 seed Philadelphia 76ers. And of course, with context, Nikola Jokic was named the MVP of the NBA for the second time yesterday, and Joel Embiid, I imagine, took it personally. But in this matchup, after the Sixers won games 3 and 4 at home, the Heat would end up winning Game 5 to take the series lead after they beat the Sixers 120-85. They would win this game by 35 after they outscored the Sixers by 12 in the first quarter. They went on to outscore the Sixers by 40 points in the fourth quarter to finish it up. On the losing end of this matchup, the 4 seed 76ers were led in scoring by their elite starting center, this year's scoring champ, Joel Embiid. He finished with 17 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists in 33 minutes. He shot 7 for 12 from the field, and he made all 3 of his free throws. The Sixers' elite starting shooting guard James Harden finished with 14 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists in 37 minutes. He shot 5 for 13 from the field, 2 for 6 from 3, and he shot 2 for 3 from the foul line. Their starting power forward, Tobias Harris, had 12 points in 33 minutes. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown top seed Miami Heat were led in scoring by their elite starting small forward Jimmy Butler. He finished with 23 points, 9 rebounds, and 6 assists in 35 minutes. He shot 9 for 15 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3, and 3 for 4 from the foul line. Their starting shooting guard Max Strus finished with 19 points and 10 rebounds in 28 minutes. He shot 7 for 13 from the field, 4 for 10 from 3, and 1 for 2 from the foul line. Their starting point guard Gabe Vincent had 15 points and 5 rebounds in 28 minutes. Their starting center, Bam Adebayo, had 12 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 blocks in 28 minutes. Their shooting guard off the bench, Victor Oladipo, had 13 points and 2 steals in 18 minutes. Their starting power forward, PJ Tucker, finished with 10 points and 7 assists in 31 minutes. And then their shooting guard off the bench, Tyler Hero, had 10 points in 22 minutes. With this win, the top seed Miami Heat now hold a 3-2 series lead over the 4 seed 76ers. With this win, they are 1 win away from making it to the Eastern Conference Finals, where they get a chance to play either the Bucks or the Celtics. Game 6 is going to be in Philadelphia. They have to win either Game 6 or Game 7 to advance. The 76ers have to win Game 6 and Game 7 if they want to advance. They are 2 wins away from making it while they're facing elimination at this moment. Taking a look at the 1-4 matchup in the Western Conference, the 1 seed Phoenix Suns, who had the best regular season record in the NBA this season, went on to host the 4 seed Dallas Mavericks. Coming into this matchup, the Suns outscored the Dallas Mavericks, or they would go on to win the first 2 games, and then the Mavericks would go on to win the next 2 games in order to get to Game 5. The Suns would go on to beat the Dallas Mavericks 110-80, as in this particular matchup, they would go on to outscore the Mavs by 19 in the third quarter and then by an additional 8 in the fourth. They would outscore them by 27 in the second half to go on and win Game 5 and put themselves 1 win away from the Western Conference Finals. On the losing end of this matchup, the 4 seed Dallas Mavericks were led in scoring by their elite starting shooting guard out of Slovenia, Luka Doncic. He finished with 28 points, 11 rebounds, 2 assists, assists, and 3 steals in 35 minutes. He shot 10 for 23 from the field, 2 for 8 from 3, and he shot 6 for 7 from the free throw line. Their starting point guard out of Villanova, Jalen Brunson, finished with 21 points and 7 rebounds in 35 minutes. He shot 9 for 17 from the field. Their small forward off the bench, Davis Bertans, finished with 10 points in 19 minutes. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown 1-seed Phoenix Suns were led in scoring by their elite starting shooting guard out of Kentucky. Devin Booker finished with 28 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 steals in 35 minutes. He shot 11 for 20 from the field, 3 for 7 from 3, and 3 for 4 from the free throw line. Their starting center, DeAndre Ayton, finished with 20 points and 9 rebounds in 22 minutes. He shot 9 for 13 from the field and made both of his free throws. Their starting small forward, Mikal Bridges, finished with 14 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 steals in 34 minutes. Their small forward off the bench, Cameron Johnson, finished with 14 points and 2 steals in 25 minutes. Their elite starting point guard, Chris Paul, had 7 points, 2 rebounds, and 10 assists in 35 minutes. He shot 3 for 8 from the field and 1 for 3 from 3. With this win, the top seed Phoenix Suns now lead this series 3-2. They have to win one of the next 2 games if they want to advance to the Western Conference Finals to play against the winner between the Golden State Warriors and the Memphis Grizzlies. With this loss, the Dallas Mavericks are trailing this series 3-2. They have to win their next 2 games if they want to make it to the next round, as the Dallas Mavericks are now facing elimination. Both 4 seeds coming into their next games will be facing elimination. And looking at this particular matchup, Game 6 is going to be scheduled for tomorrow on ESPN, just like the other game. Taking a look at what's going on today, as we are going to see the other Game 5s in this round. The first one's going to be at 7 o'clock on TNT and TD Garden, as the 2-seed Boston Celtics host the 3-seed defending NBA champs Milwaukee Bucks. This is coming after the Celtics won Game 4 by 8 to even up the series. Both teams have to win 2 of the next 3 games if they want to advance. Neither one of these teams is facing direct elimination, but of course, this is a must-win game for both teams that puts them in very prime position. The winner of this series faces off against the winner between the Heat and the 76ers. Taking a look at the second matchup that's going on today at 9:30 on TNT, the 2-seed Memphis Grizzlies, who are facing elimination, are going to host the 3-seed Golden State Warriors. After the Warriors won Game 4, after they won games 3 and 4 at home, we are going back to Memphis. The Memphis Grizzlies have to win their next 3 games if they want to advance. The Warriors have to win one of their next 3 if they want to advance to the next round. The winner of this matchup faces off against the winner between the top seed Phoenix Suns and the 4-seed Dallas Mavericks in the Western Conference. Taking a look at what's going on in the Stanley Cup playoffs for the time being, there were 4 matchups in the first round, as none of the teams were eliminated. Coming in, there were 15 teams, and coming into today, as of right now, there are 15 teams that are left competing for the Stanley Cup. Starting first in Raleigh, the Carolina Hurricanes, who entered this matchup as the number 1 seed in the Metropolitan Division, went on to host the Boston Bruins after the Bruins came into this round holding the first wild card seed. Coming in, the series was tied at 2 after the Bruins had won both of their games at home. The Hurricanes would take a 3-2 series lead after beating the Bruins 5-1. As within this particular matchup, they would go on to get a lot of their scoring early, as the Bruins didn't even have a chance to score. The Bruins' lone goal came after the Hurricanes had already scored 4 goals. The top star of the day went to Antti Ranta, the goalie for the Carolina Hurricanes, as he had 33 saves, only allowing 1 on the day. Second star of the game went to Seth Jarvis, the Hurricanes center, as he had 2 goals for himself. The third star went to Carolina's defender, Tony DeAngelo, as he had a goal and 2 assists. With this win, the Carolina Hurricanes are one win away from making it to the second round, where they can face off against the winner between either the New York Rangers or the Pittsburgh Penguins. With this loss, the Boston Bruins are trailing 3-2. They have to win their next 2 games if they want to advance. And Game 6 is going to be in Boston tomorrow, and it should be on TNT. Taking a look at the second game that took place yesterday, it would take place north of the border in Canada, the first of the two that took place in Canada. The Maple Leafs would go on to host the Tampa Bay Lightning after the Maple Leafs finished with the second best record in the Atlantic Division. The Lightning, of course, finished with the third. Coming into this matchup, the series was, of course, tied at 2. This came after the Lightning had won Game 4 in front of their hometown fans. Toronto would take advantage of this home ice advantage and win it 4-3. In this matchup, the Tampa Bay Lightning actually did tie the game up at 3 halfway through the third, but it will be a goal from Austin Matthews in that period to help the Maple Leafs outscore the Lightning 3-1 to come from behind and pick up a very important win in this playoff series. The top star of the game went to William Nylander, Toronto's center, as he had a goal and 2 assists. Toronto's center John Tavares to pick up the second star of the day, as he had a goal and an assist. The third star of the day went to Austin Matthews, Toronto's center, who ended up getting the game-winning goal. With this win, the Maple Leafs are 1 win away from making it into the second round. With this loss, the Tampa Bay Lightning have to win their next 2 games, as Game 6 is going to be in Tampa tomorrow on TBS. The winner of this matchup will face off against the winner between the Florida Panthers, the top seed in the Atlantic Division, and the second wildcard seed in the East, the Washington Capitals. Taking a look at the third matchup that's going to be taking place today, that took place yesterday. It took place in St. Paul as the Minnesota Wild hosted the St. Louis Blues. Minnesota Wild coming into this matchup as the 2 seed in the Central. The Blues is the third. Coming into this matchup, the series was tied at 2 after the Blues had won Game 4 at home. They would go on to win Game 5 and take a 3-2 series lead after they would go on to score, after they would see the Wild take a 2-1 lead in the first period. They would go on to score 4 unanswered to go on to win the game. They tied it in the second period off of a goal from Brandon Saad. And then Vladimir Tarasenko would have a hat trick of goals in the third period in order to help the Blues win it. The top star of the game was Vladimir Tarasenko. St. Louis's right winger had a hat trick, 3 goals on the day. Second star of the day went to the Blues goalie, Jordan Binnington. He would go on to finish with 30 saves as he allowed 2 goals on the night. And then Minnesota's left winger, Kirill Kaprizov, would finish with 2 goals for himself. With this win, the Blues are 1 win away from making it to the second round of the playoffs. And with this loss, the Minnesota Wild are now trailing 3-2. Facing elimination, the Wild have to win their next 2 games if they want to make it to the next round. The winner of this matchup faces off against the top seed Colorado Avalanche, as the Colorado Avalanche are the only team that has won their series in the Stanley Cup playoffs so far. Taking a look at the last game that's going to be taking place today, as it took place yesterday, as it happened in Edmonton, the second seed in the Pacific Division. The Edmonton Oilers hosted the 3 seed Los Angeles Kings. The series was tied at 2 coming into this particular matchup, especially after the Kings had gone on to win Game 4. They would go on to shut the Oilers out in their home stadium. The Kings would go on to win Game 5 in overtime in order to take this 3-2 series lead. The big difference in this matchup would, of course, Edmonton would score 2 goals in the third period to send it into overtime in the first place. The goal was scored by Adrian Kemp just about a minute in, as the Kings were able to pick up a very big win, and now they are 1 win away from making it through. The top star of the game went to Adrian Kemp, LA center, who scored the game-winning goal as he had 2 goals and an assist on the night. The second star of the night went to Edmonton center Connor McDavid, as he had a goal and 2 assists. The third star went to Edmonton center Leon Draisaitl, as he had 2 goals and an assist. With this win, the Kings are 1 win away from making it through, and Game 6 will be held tomorrow in Los Angeles, as that game should be on TBS. With this loss, the Edmonton Oilers have to win their next 2 games if they want to make it to the next round, as the winner of this matchup faces off against the winner between the top seed Calgary Flames and the top wild card seed in the Western Conference, the Dallas Stars. So, taking a look at what is going on today in Stanley Cup, there's going to be other Game 5s, as the only team that's going to be facing elimination will be the New York Rangers. They host the Pittsburgh Penguins on ESPN today in Madison Square Garden. After the Pittsburgh Penguins won Games 3 and 4 in front of the hometown fans, the Penguins are now one win away from making it to the next round. The Rangers have to win their next 3 games if they want to make it through. The winner of this matchup will go on and face off between the top seed in the Metro Division, the Carolina Hurricanes, and the top wild card seed in the East, the Boston Bruins. Taking a look at the second playoff game, as this is a Game 5 in a 2-2 series. The top seed in the Atlantic Division, the Florida Panthers, are going to host the Washington Capitals on ESPN2. The series is tied at 2 after the Panthers had to even up the series in Washington in overtime in Game 4. It is now a best-of-3 series, as both teams have to win 2 of their next 3 games to make it through. The winner of this series will face off against the winner between the 2-seed Toronto Maple Leafs and the 3-seed defending back-to-back champs Tampa Bay Lightning. And then taking a look at what the last game of today is going to be. At 9:30 on ESPN in Scotiabank Saddledome, the top seed in the Pacific Division, the Calgary Flames, are set to host the Dallas Stars, the top wildcard seed in the West, as the series is currently tied at 2. The Flames had to win Game 4 in Dallas in order to even up the series. It is now a best-of-3 series from here on out. Both of these teams have to win 2 of their next 3, as neither team is facing immediate elimination. And taking a look at what is going on with baseball, there was one doubleheader as it would take place in Detroit. In the first matchup, the A's were the home team. In the first matchup, the Tigers would end up shutting the Athletics out. They won it 6-0, holding the A's to only 4 hits all game. On the losing end of Game 1, the A's saw the loss go to their starting pitcher, Frankie Montas. Montas allowed 4 earned runs off of 7 hits and 6.1 innings pitched. He would strike out 4 batters and walk 3. With his loss, Montas is 2-3, and in the A's batting lineup, nobody on their team finished with more than 1 hit. That is attributed to great pitching from the Tigers. The win went to the Tigers starting pitcher, Tarek Skubal. Skubal allowed no earned runs off of 3 hits in the 7 innings he pitched. He struck out 5 batters and walked 3. With this win, he is now 2-2. In the Tigers batting lineup, their third baseman, Jeimer Candelario, went 3 for 5 with 3 RBIs. Their second baseman, Jonathan Schoop, went 2 for 3 with an RBI and 2 runs. He would go on to finish with his second home run of the day. Their left fielder, Willie Castro, went 3 for 4 with a run. And then their catcher, Tucker Barnhart, would end up going 2 for 4 on the day. With this win, the Detroit Tigers are now 9-20. But then the A's would go on to win the second matchup to even up this doubleheader. They would go on to win it 4-1 after they would score all 4 of their runs before the Tigers would score their lone run of the game. In Game 2, the hometown Tigers would see the loss go to their starting pitcher, Alex Faedo. Faedo allowed 2 earned runs off of 4 hits in the 5 innings he pitched. He would go on to strike out 7 batters and walk 2. With this loss, Faedo is 0-1. In the Tigers batting lineup, their right fielder, Austin Meadows, would end up going 2 for 4. And then their center fielder, Willie Castro, would end up going 2 for 4 as well. On the winning end of this matchup, the Oakland Athletics saw the win go to their starting pitcher, Adrian Martinez. Martinez allowed no earned runs off of 4 hits in 5.1 innings pitched. He would go on to strike out 3 batters. And with this win, he's now 1-0. In the Athletics batting lineup, their second baseman, Tony Kemp, went 2 for 4. Their right fielder, Ramon Laureano, would end up going 2 for 4 with a run. Their shortstop in this matchup, Kevin Smith, would go 2 for 3 with an RBI and a run. With this loss and win, the Oakland Athletics are 12-19. That is currently the worst record in the American League West. They have now won 2 of their last 10 games as they trail the division-leading LA Angels by 8.5 games. With this win and loss, the Detroit Tigers are now 9-21. That is the worst record in the American League Central. It is the worst record in the American League. Win percentage-wise, the only team with a worse record than the Detroit Tigers is the Cincinnati Reds right now. The Tigers have lost 8 of their last 10 games. They now sit 9 games behind the AL Central leading Minnesota Twins. Taking a look at what happened in Pittsburgh, the Pirates would host the surging hot Los Angeles Dodgers. The Dodgers would beat the Pirates 11-1 as they were able to get 7 runs scored in the first 3 innings of this game. The Pirates had no chance. They scored their own run after the Dodgers had scored their 11. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Pirates would see the loss go to their starting pitcher, Bryce Wilson. Bryce Wilson allowed 6 earned runs off of 8 hits in 2.2 innings pitched. He struck out 4 batters and walked 1. With this loss, he's 0-2. In the Pirates batting lineup, nobody on their team would finish with more than 1 hit. That would be attributed to great pitching from the Dodgers. The win would go to the Dodgers starting pitcher, Tony Gonsolin. Gonsolin allowed no earned runs and only 1 hit in 5 innings pitched. He struck out 5 batters and walked 4. With this win, Gonsolin is 3-0. In the Dodgers batting lineup, their elite shortstop, Trey Turner, went 2 for 4 with an RBI and 2 runs. Their third baseman, Justin Turner, would go 4 for 5 with 4 RBIs and 2 runs. Their designated hitter in this matchup, Edwin Rios, would go 3 for 5 with 3 RBIs and 2 runs. He hit his 3rd home run of the year. Their left fielder, Gavin Lux, went 2 for 5 with a run. With this win, the LA Dodgers are now 20-8. That is the best record in the National League West. Win percentage-wise, that is the best record in the National League, and only the Yankees have a better win percentage than the Dodgers. They just have 1 more win than the Dodgers right now. The Dodgers have won 8 of their last 2 games as they sit a game and a half ahead of the second place San Diego Padres in their division. They both have 20 wins, but the Dodgers just have 3 less losses than the Padres right now. With this loss, the Pittsburgh Pirates are 12-17. That is the 3rd best record in the NL Central. They've lost 6 of their last 10 games. They are now sitting 7 games behind the NL Central leading Milwaukee Brewers. Taking a look at what happened in Cincinnati, the Milwaukee Brewers would go on to beat the Reds 5-4 in a game that actually went down to the wire. The Reds did score the first run of the game. The Brewers would go on to score 5 unanswered. They tied it off of a Luis Urias home run, and then they would take the lead off of a Jace Peterson double. But then the Reds would score 3 runs in the bottom of the 8th, but it just wouldn't be enough. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Cincinnati Reds saw the loss go to their starting pitcher, Hunter Green. Hunter Green allowed 2 earned runs off of 4 hits and 5.1 innings pitched. He struck out 6 batters and walked 4 before he was pulled in the 6th inning. In the Reds batting lineup, their designated hitter, Mike Moustakas, went 2 for 3 with 2 runs. Their catcher, Tyler Stevenson, went 2 for 4 with an RBI as well. On the winning end of this matchup, the Milwaukee Brewers saw the win go to their starting pitcher, Freddie Peralta. He allowed 1 earned run off of 4 hits and 5.2 innings pitched. He struck out 8 batters and walked 1. With this win, he's now 2-1. The save would go to the Brewers' elite closer, Josh Hader. Hader allowed no earned runs in the 9th inning. He struck out 2 batters and walked 1. He picked up his 12th save of the year. In the Brewers batting lineup, their third baseman, Jace Peterson, went 2 for 5 with an RBI and 2 runs. Their center fielder, Lorenzo Cain, went 2 for 3 with a run. Their catcher, Victor Caratini, would end up going 2 for 3 with an RBI. With this win, the Milwaukee Brewers are 20-11. That is the best record in the National League Central. They have now won 6 of their last 10 games. Looking right now, they're actually tied with the San Diego Padres for the 3rd best record in the National League. They are sitting 3 games ahead of the 2nd place St. Louis Cardinals in their division. With this loss, the Cincinnati Reds are 6-24. That is the worst record in the MLB as they've lost 80% of their games exactly up until this point. They're the only team who's won less than 30% of their games so far this year. The Reds have lost 7 of their last 10 games. They are sitting 13.5 games behind the division-leading Milwaukee Brewers. Taking a look at what happened in our nation's capital, the Washington Nationals hosted the New York Mets. After the Nats scored the first 2 runs of the game, the Mets would take the lead in the top of the 6th off of a sac fly from James McCann, and then another sac fly on the top of the 9th would put them up 4-2 for the win. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Washington Nationals were led out by Patrick Corbin. Their starting pitcher would allow no earned runs off of 3 hits and 5 innings pitched. He struck out 5 batters and walked 4. The loss would go to the Nats' first relief pitcher, Carl Edwards Jr. He allowed 3 earned runs off of 3 hits in the 6th inning as he struck out 2 batters and walked 1. He picked up his first blown save of the year, and with this loss, he's 0-1. In the Nats batting lineup, their first baseman, Josh Bell, went 2 for 4 with a run. Their elite designated hitter, Nelson Cruz, would go 2 for 4. And on the winning end of this matchup, the New York Mets will see the win go to their starting pitcher, Carlos Carrasco. Carrasco allowed 2 earned runs off of 7 hits and 6.2 innings pitched. He would strike out 5 batters. With this win, he's now 3-1. The save would end up going to the Mets closer, Edwin Diaz. Diaz allowed no earned runs in the ninth as he would strike out a batter. He would go on to pick up 7 saves on the day, or he picked up a 7th save on the year. The Mets batting lineup would see their elite shortstop Francisco Lindor go 2 for 5, and then also their second baseman Jeff McNeil would end up going 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs. With this win, the New York Mets are now 21-10. That is the best record in the NL East. That is the second best record in the National League, as only the Dodgers have a better record than them in the NL. The Mets have won their last 2 games. They've won 6 of their last 10. They are sitting 7 games ahead of the defending World Series champs Atlanta Braves. With this loss, the Washington Nationals are 10-21, the opposite record. That is the worst record in the National League East. It is currently the second worst record in the National League. Only the Reds have a worse record in the conference or in the league. The Nationals have now lost their last 2 games. They've lost 6 of their last 10. They are currently sitting 11 games behind the division-leading New York Mets. Taking a look at what happened in the Bronx, the New York Yankees hosted the Toronto Blue Jays, and the Yankees would end up beating the Blue Jays 6-5 on some late-game heroics. Trailing 3 in the bottom of the ninth, it would be a 3-run home run from Aaron Judge, as, of course, earlier it was a 3-run home run from Giancarlo Stanton to tie the game in the 6th. Very interesting game. On the losing end of this matchup, the Toronto Blue Jays were led out by Yusei Kikuchi. Kikuchi allowed 2 earned runs off of 2 hits in 5.1 innings pitched. He would strike out 7 batters and walk 3. The loss would end up going to the Blue Jays closer, Jordan Romano. Romano allowed 3 earned runs off of 1 hit as he would not finish the 9th inning. He would strike out a batter and walk 2. He would pick up a second blown save of the year, and with this loss, he's now 1-2. In the Blue Jays batting lineup, their center fielder, George Springer, went 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run as he hit his 7th home run of the season. He was the only Blue Jay with a multi-hit game. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown New York Yankees were led out by Luis Severino. Severino allowed 3 earned runs off of 5 hits and 4.2 innings pitched. He struck out 8 batters and walked 2. The win for the Yankees went to their closer, Wandy Peralta. Peralta allowed no earned runs in the 9th inning as he struck out a batter and walked 1. With this win, Peralta is 1-0. In the Yankees batting lineup, their elite center fielder, Aaron Judge, would go 2 for 5 with 3 RBIs and 2 runs, as his walk-off 3-run home run would be his 10th home run of the year. Their elite right fielder, Giancarlo Stanton, went 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs and a run as he hit his 7th home run of the season. With this win, the New York Yankees have the best record in the MLB at 21-8. They've now won their last 2 games, and they've won 8 of their last 10. Like I said, they have a better record than the Dodgers on win percentage just because they have 1 more win. They are sitting 4 games ahead of the second place Tampa Bay Rays within their own division. With this loss, the Toronto Blue Jays are 17-14. That is the 3rd best record in the American League East. They have now lost their last 3 games. Their 3-game losing streak is tied with the Kansas City Royals for the longest active losing streak in the American League. It's also tied with the Miami Marlins, the St. Louis Cardinals, and the Colorado Rockies for the longest active losing streak in baseball right now. The Blue Jays are currently trailing the division-leading New York Yankees by 5 games right now. Taking a look at what's going on in Atlanta, the defending World Series champs, Atlanta Braves, hosted the Boston Red Sox. The Red Sox beat the Braves 9-4. They scored 6 runs in the 2nd inning to, of course, put themselves at a point where the Braves couldn't even catch them. As within this 6th inning, they would see a grand slam from Rafael Devers. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Atlanta Braves saw the loss go to their starting pitcher, Kyle Wright. Kyle Wright allowed 6 earned runs off of 7 hits in 4.2 innings pitched. He struck out 4 batters and walked 4. With this loss, Kyle Wright is 3-2. In the Braves batting lineup, their first baseman, Matt Olson, went 2 for 5 with a run. Their catcher, Travis d'Arnaud, went 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a run. He hit his 3rd home run of the season. On the winning end of this matchup, the Boston Red Sox were led out by their starting pitcher, Garrett Whitlock. Whitlock allowed 3 earned runs off of 4 hits in 3 innings pitched. He would strike out 5 batters and walk 4. The win would end up going to the Red Sox first relief pitcher on this day, Tyler Danish. Tyler Danish would allow no earned runs off of 1 hit in the 2 innings he pitched. He would strike out 2 batters, and he would go on to pitch the 4th and 5th inning. With this win, Danish is 1-0. The save would end up going to the Red Sox closer, John Schreiber. Schreiber allowed no earned runs in the 8th and 9th innings as he struck out 3 batters. He picked up his first save of the year. In the Red Sox batting lineup, their elite third baseman, Rafael Devers, will go 2 for 4. He had 4 RBIs and 2 runs as his grand slam was his 5th home run of the year. Their elite shortstop, Xander Bogaerts, went 3 for 5 with a run. Their elite second baseman, Trevor Story, went 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs and a run. With this win, the Boston Red Sox are now 11-19. That is the worst record in the American League East. They have won 3 of their last 10 games. They've won 10 and a, or they're currently sitting 10.5 games behind the division leading New York Yankees at the moment, as they hold the 3rd worst record in the American League. With this loss, the Atlanta Braves are 14-17. That is the 2nd best record in the National League East. The defending champs have lost 6 of their last 10 games, as they now trail the division leading New York Mets by 7 whole games in the NL East. Jumping out to Minneapolis, the AL Central leaders hosted the Houston Astros, and the Astros would shut the Twins out 5-0, holding the Twins to only 3 hits all game. On the losing end of this matchup, the Minnesota Twins would see the loss go to their starting pitcher, Joe Ryan. Ryan allowed 4 earned runs off of 4 hits in the 4 innings he pitched. He would strike out 3 batters and walk 5. With this loss, Ryan is 3-2 on the year, and nobody in the Twins batting lineup would finish with more than 1 hit, as that was attributed to great pitching from the Astros. On the winning end of this matchup, the Astros were led out by their goated starting pitcher, Justin Verlander. Verlander allowed no earned runs and only 1 hit in the 8 innings he pitched. He struck out 5 batters and walked 2. With this win, Justin Verlander is 4-1. In the Astros batting lineup, their elite third baseman, Alex Bregman, went 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs. With this win, the Houston Astros are 19-11. That is the 2nd best record in the American League West. It is currently the 3rd best record in the American League, as they're behind the Angels and the Yankees. They have now won their last 8 games. The Astros' 8-game winning streak is the longest active winning streak in the MLB right now. They've won 8 of their last 10 games. They are sitting a full game behind the division-leading LA Angels, as they just have 2 less wins than the Angels at this point. They both have 11 losses. With this loss, the Minnesota Twins are 18-12. That is the best record in the American League Central still. They've only lost 3 of their last 10 games. They are sitting 2.5 games ahead of the 2nd place Chicago White Sox, as the Twins are currently holding the 4th best record in the American League. Taking a look at what happened in St. Louis, the St. Louis Cardinals went on to host the Baltimore Orioles, and the Orioles would go on to beat the Cardinals 5-3. They would score the first 5 runs of the game between the 3rd and the 6th inning, scoring in every single one of those innings. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown St. Louis Cardinals saw the loss go to their starting pitcher in this matchup, Packy Naughton. Naughton allowed 3 earned runs off of 5 hits in 3.1 innings pitched. He would strike out 2 batters. With this loss, Naughton is 0-1. In the Cardinals batting lineup, nobody on their team would finish with more than 1 hit. Harrison Bader, their center fielder, hit his 3rd home run of the season. And then, of course, their shortstop in this matchup, Brendan Donovan, will go on to hit his 1st home run of the year. On the winning end of this matchup, the Baltimore Orioles saw the win go to their starting pitcher in this matchup, Kyle Bradish. Bradish allowed 2 earned runs off of 4 hits in the 7 innings he pitched. He struck out 11 batters on the day, and with this win, he's now 1-1. The save would end up going to the Orioles closer, Felix Bautista. Bautista allowed no earned runs as he finished off the 9th inning. He picked up his first save of the year as he would record the last strikeout of the game. In the Orioles batting lineup, their center fielder, Cedric Mullins, went 4 for 5 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs. He hit his 5th home run of the year. Their left fielder, Anthony Santander, would go 3 for 5 with an RBI. With this win, the Baltimore Orioles are 13-17. That is the 4th best record in the AL East. They've won their last 3 games, and they've won 7 of their last 10. They are currently tied with the Angels for the 2nd longest active winning streak in the American League. The Orioles, like I said, have won 7 of their last 10. They are now sitting 8.5 games behind the division-leading New York Yankees at the moment. With this loss, the St. Louis Cardinals are 16-13. That is the 2nd best record in the National League Central. They've lost their last 3 games, and they have now lost 5 of their last 10. Their 3-game losing streak is tied with the Miami Marlins and the Rockies for the longest active losing streak in the National League. The Cardinals are now sitting 3 games behind the division-leading Milwaukee Brewers at this moment. Taking a look at what happened in Arlington, the Texas Rangers hosted the Kansas City Royals. and they would go on to win it 6-4 after the Rangers scored the first 5 runs of the game. On the losing end of this matchup, the Kansas City Royals saw the loss go to their starting pitcher, Brad Keller. Keller would go on to allow 6 runs off of 9 hits and 5.2 innings pitched. He would strike out 3 batters and walk 1. With this loss, Keller is 1-3. In the Royals batting lineup, their first baseman Hunter Dozier went 2 for 3 with 2 runs. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Texas Rangers would see the win go to their starting pitcher, Martin Perez. Perez would allow 4 runs off of 5 hits in the 6.1 innings he pitched. He would strike out 6 batters. With this win, he's 1-2. The save would end up going to the Rangers closer, Joe Barlow. He allowed no earned runs in the 9th inning. In the Rangers batting lineup, their third baseman in this matchup, Brad Miller, would go 2 for 3 with an RBI. Their elite shortstop, Corey Seager, went 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs. He did his 5th and 6th home runs of the season yesterday. Their catcher, Jonah Heim, went 2 for 4 with a run. And then their designated hitter, Nick Solak, would go 2 for 4 with 2 runs. With this win, the Texas Rangers are 12-16. That is the 4th best record in the American League West. They've won 6 of their last 10 games. They are now sitting 7 games behind the division-leading LA Angels. With this loss, the Kansas City Royals are now 9-18. That is the 4th best record in the American League Central. They are one of 2 teams in the American League and one of 3 teams in the MLB that still have a single-digit amount of wins. The Royals have now lost their last 3 games, tied with the Rays and the Blue Jays for the longest active losing streak in the American League. The Royals have now lost 8 of their last 10 games. They are trailing the division-leading Minnesota Twins by 7.5 games at the moment. Taking a look at what happened in Chicago, the White Sox hosted the Cleveland Guardians from the AL Central. In this matchup, the White Sox beat the Guardians 4-1 as all of the scoring in this game happened in the 5th inning, first of which was a Tim Anderson's RBI single. On the losing end of this matchup, the Cleveland Guardians saw the loss go to their starting pitcher, Cal Quantrill. He allowed 4 earned runs as he allowed 10 hits in 6.1 innings pitched. He would strike out 3 batters before he was pulled in the 7th. With this loss, Cal Quantrill is 1-2. In the Guardians batting lineup, their first baseman, Josh Naylor, fresh off an amazing day, would go up 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run. He hit his 5th home run of the year. Their left fielder, Ahmed Rosario, would go 3 for 4. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Chicago White Sox would see the win go to their starting pitcher, Lucas Giolito. He allowed 1 earned run off of 6 hits in the 7 innings he pitched. He would strike out 5 batters and walk 1. With this win, Lucas Giolito is 2-1. The save would go to the White Sox closer, Kendall Graveman. Graveman allowed no earned runs in the 9th inning as he allowed only 1 hit, and he walked a batter as well. He picked up his 2nd save of the year, if I didn't mention that earlier. The Chicago White Sox in their batting lineup would see their elite shortstop, Tim Anderson, go 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs. Their center fielder, Luis Robert, went 2 for 4 with a run. With this win, the Chicago White Sox are 15-14. That is the 2nd best record in the American League Central. They've won 8 of their last 10 games as they now trail the division-leading Minnesota Twins by 2.5 games. And with this loss, the Cleveland Guardians are 15-15. That is the 3rd best record in the AL Central as they've now lost 3 of their last 10 games. They are sitting 3 games behind the division-leading Minnesota Twins at the moment. Taking a look at what went down in Anaheim, the Los Angeles Angels went on to host the Tampa Bay Rays. Not only would the Angels shut the Rays out, they would go on to win off of a no-hitter from Reed Detmers, by the way. On the losing end of this matchup, the Tampa Bay Rays would see the loss go to their starting pitcher, Corey Kluber. Corey Kluber would allow 8 earned runs off of 11 hits in the 3 innings that he pitched. He would strike out 2 batters, and with this loss, he's now 1-2. In the Rays batting lineup, nobody on their team would finish with more than 1 hit. On the winning end of this matchup, the Angels had, of course, 18 hits on the offensive side, but starting with their pitcher. Their starting pitcher, Reed Detmers, would pick up the complete game win, the complete no-hitter win. He would allow no earned runs, no hits in the 9 innings he pitched. He would strike out 2 batters, and he only walked 1 batter on the day, 1 walk away from having a perfect game. With this win, Reed Detmers is 2-1 on the season. In the Angels batting lineup, their left fielder, Brandon Marsh, would end up going 2 for 4 with an RBI and 2 runs. Their their goated center fielder Mike Trout went 3 for 4 with 3 RBIs and 3 runs. He would go on to hit his 8th and 9th home runs of the season. Their elite designated hitter and reigning American League MVP Shohei Ohtani went 2 for 5 with a run. Their elite third baseman Anthony Rendon went 1 for 5 with 3 RBIs and a run, as he had a left-handed home run yesterday. He's a right-handed hitter. Their first baseman Jared Walsh went 3 for 5 with an RBI and a run. Jared Walsh would have a very good day for himself. Going back to Rendon's left-handed home run was his 4th home run of the year. Their second baseman in this matchup, Luis Rengifo, would end up going 2 for 4 with a run. Their shortstop in this matchup, Andrew Velasquez, would go 3 for 4 with an RBI and a run. With this win, the LA Angels are now 21-11. That is the best record in the American League West. They've now won their last 3 games, and they've won 7 of their last 10. The Angels are now sitting a game ahead of the second-place Houston Astros within their division. They're holding on to the second-best record in the American League. Only the Yankees have a better record than them in the AL. And with this loss, the Tampa Bay Rays are 18-13. That is the second-best record in the AL East. They've now lost their last 3 games, and they've lost 4 of their last 10. They are currently sitting 4 games behind the AL East leading New York Yankees. Taking a look at what happened in San Diego, the Padres would host the Chicago Cubs. After the Cubs would tie the game up at 3 in the 5th, the Padres would take the lead in the bottom of the 6th off of a Manny Machado RBI double that would give them the lead, and then Eric Hosmer's single would put them out of reach, so they would win it 5-4. On the losing end of this matchup, the Chicago Cubs would be led out by their starting pitcher, Wade Miley. Wade Miley allowed 3 earned runs off of 5 hits in the 3 innings he pitched. He would strike out a batter and walk 5. The loss would end up going to the Cubs' first relief pitcher, Robert Zellman. Zellman allowed 1 earned run off of 3 hits as he was pulled in the 6th inning. He would strike out 2 batters, and with this loss, he's 0-1. In the Cubs batting lineup, their right fielder, Rafael Ortega, went 2 for 4 with a run. Their catcher, Wilson Contreras, went 2 for 3. Their left fielder, Ian Happ, would go 2 for 5 with an RBI and a run. And on the winning end of this matchup, the hometown San Diego Padres were led out by their starting pitcher, Mike Clevinger. Clevinger would allow 3 runs off of 6 hits in the 4.1 innings he pitched. He would strike out 6 batters and then walk 2. The win would go to the Padres' first relief pitcher in this matchup, Steven Wilson. He allowed no earned runs as he finished the 5th inning and pitched the entire 6th as he struck out a batter in that span. With this win, he's now 3-0. The save would go to the Padres' closer, Taylor Rogers. Rogers allowed 1 earned run off of 2 hits in the 9th inning. He would pick up a strikeout. He picked up his 12th save of the year. In the Padres batting lineup, their second baseman, Jay Cronenworth, went 3 for 5 with a run. Their left fielder, Jurickson Profar, went 2 for 5 with a run. Their elite third baseman, Manny Machado, will go 1 for 3 with an RBI and a run for himself. Their first baseman, Eric Hosmer, went 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run. Their catcher, their catcher in this matchup, Austin Nola, would end up going 2 for 4 with an RBI. With this win, the San Diego Padres are 20-11. That is the second best record in the NL West. They are currently tied with the Milwaukee Brewers for the 3rd best record in the NL. The Padres have won 6 of their last 10 games. They sit a game and a half behind the NL West leading Dodgers. They both have 20 wins, but the Padres just have 3 more losses than the Dodgers. With this loss, the Chicago Cubs are 10-19. That is the 4th best record in the National League Central. They have now lost 8 of their last 10 games. They are sitting 9 games behind the division-leading Milwaukee Brewers. Taking a look at what happened in Seattle, the Mariners went on to host the Philadelphia Phillies. They were going to win this game 5-4 after they would score the first 3 runs of the game. The Phillies never got a chance to take a lead in this game. The loss for the Phillies would go to their starting pitcher, Aaron Nola. Nola would allow 5 runs off of 9 hits and 5.1 innings pitched. He would strike out 6 batters and walk 1 before he was pulled in the 6th inning. With this loss, Aaron Nola is now 1-4. In the Phillies batting lineup, their elite designated hitter and reigning National League MVP, Bryce Harper, would go 2 for 4 on the day. The Phillies' elite right fielder, Nick Castellanos, would go 1 for 3 with an RBI and a run. He would go on to hit his 5th home run of the season yesterday. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Seattle Mariners would see the win go to their elite starting pitcher, Robbie Ray, the reigning American League Cy Young winner. He would allow 2 earned runs off of 2 hits in the 5.2 innings he pitched. He would strike out 10 batters and walk 2. With this win, he's now 3-3. The save would end up going to the Mariners closer for the day, Paul Sewald. He allowed one earned run off of one hit as he finished off the eighth and pitched the entire ninth inning. He would pick up his first strikeout of the year. Or he would give his first save of the year, as he would strike out a batter as well. In the Mariners batting lineup, their second baseman Adam Frazier went 3 for 4 with a run. Their first baseman Ty France went 2 for 3 with an RBI and a run. Their third baseman Eugenio Suarez would go 2 for 5 with an RBI. And then their catcher in this matchup, Luis Torrens, would end up going 2 for 4 with 2 runs. With this win, the Seattle Mariners are 14-17. That is the third best record in the American League West. They've won 3 of their last 10 games as they sit 6.5 games behind the division leading LA Angels. With this loss, the Philadelphia Phillies are 13-15 as well. That is the fourth. They're tied with the Miami Marlins actually for the third best record in the NL East. The Phillies have now lost 7 of their last 10 games. They are now sitting 7.5 games behind the NL East leading New York Mets. Taking a look at what happened in Phoenix, the Arizona Diamondbacks would go on to host and beat the Miami Marlins 9-3. The Marlins did score the first 2 runs of the game. The Diamondbacks would score 9 unanswered. They would tie it off of a Jordan Luplow 2-run home run and take the lead off of a RBI single from Nick Ahmed. On the losing end of this matchup, the Miami Marlins saw the loss go to their starting pitcher Jesus Luzardo. He allowed 4 earned runs off of 2 hits in the 2.2 innings he pitched. He would strike out 6 batters and walk 4. With this loss, he's 2-3. In the Marlins batting lineup, their shortstop Miguel Rojas would end up going 2 for 5 with a run. And then their second baseman Joey Wendell went 2 for 3 with a run. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Arizona Diamondbacks saw the win go to their starting pitcher Madison Bumgarner. Bumgarner, their former World Series hero, would allow 2 earned runs off of 6 hits in the 6.1 innings he pitched. He would strike out 5 batters and walk 1. With this win, he's now 2-1. In the Diamondbacks batting lineup, their left fielder in this matchup, Cooper Hummel, will go 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run. Their first baseman, Christian Walker, went 2 for 3 with a run. Their third baseman in this particular matchup, Geraldo Perdomo, went 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs. And then, of course, Alek Thomas, their center fielder, went 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs. With this win, the Arizona Diamondbacks are 17-14. That is the 4th best record in the National League West, as they no longer have the worst record in the division. They've now won their last 3 games. They've won 8 of their last 10. They are sitting 4.5 games behind the division-leading LA Dodgers, as the NL West is wildly closer than you think it is. On the losing end of this matchup, the Miami Marlins are 13-17. That is the 3rd best record in the NL East, as they are tied with the Phillies. The Marlins have now lost their last 3 games. They are tied with the Cardinals and the Rockies for the longest active losing streaks in the NL. The Marlins are currently sitting 7.5 games behind the division-leading New York Mets. And then last but not least, taking a look at what happened in the Bay, the San Francisco Giants would beat the Rockies to see the Rockies drop to the very bottom of the division. The Giants would go on to, of course, score the first 3 runs of the game, as the Rockies never even had a chance to take. They had a chance, but they never really had a lead in this game. On the losing end of this matchup, the Rockies would see the loss go to their starting pitcher, Antonio Senzatella. Senzatella would go on to allow 5 earned runs off of 7 hits in the 3.2 innings he pitched. He would strike out a batter and walk 2. With this loss, he's 2-2. In the Rockies batting lineup, their designated hitter, Connor Joe, went 2 for 5. Their shortstop, Jose Iglesias, will go 2 for 5. Their first baseman, CJ Cron, will go 2 for 4. And then their center fielder, Yordan Daza, will go 3 for 4 with a run. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown San Francisco Giants were led out by their starting pitcher, Alex Wood. Alex Wood would allow no earned runs. He allowed 1 run total off of 7 hits in the 5.1 innings he pitched. He would strike out 4 batters and walk 2. With this win, Alex Wood is 3-2. In the Giants batting lineup, their second baseman, Thairo Estrada, went 2 for 5 with an RBI and 2 runs. Their left fielder in this matchup, Luis Gonzalez, would end up going 2 for 2 with an RBI and a run. And then their catcher, Kurt Casale, would end up going 3 for 3 with 2 RBIs. With this win, the San Francisco Giants are 18-12. That is the 3rd best record in the National League West. They have now won their last 4 games. Their 4-game winning streak is the longest active winning streak in the National League. Only the New York Yankees have a longer winning streak than that in the major leagues right now. The Giants have won 5 of their last 10 games. They are currently sitting 3 games behind the division-leading LA Dodgers. With this loss, the Colorado Rockies are now 16-14. That is the worst record in the NL West, as they are 2 games over 500. They've now lost their last 3 games. They are tied with the Miami Marlins and the St. Louis Cardinals for the longest active losing streak in the National League. They've now lost 5 of their last 10 games. They are currently sitting 5 games behind the division-leading LA Dodgers, who have the best record in the National League, to get a sense of how good the NL West is this year. So that's what MLB is looking like following yesterday's matchup as we go into today. And of course, today is Wednesday, so the main primetime game is going to be at 7:07 as the AL West leading Los Angeles Angels are set to host the Tampa Bay Rays. The Angels are going to be led out by their elite starting pitcher in the reigning American League MVP, Shohei Ohtani. Ohtani enters his matchup with a 3-2 record, holding a 3.08 ERA. And the Rays are going to be led out by Shane McClanahan. McClanahan enters his matchup with a 2-2 record, holding a 3.06 ERA on the year. Taking a look at what's not going to be on primetime. At 12:35 in Pittsburgh, the Pirates are led by Dylan Peters. They're going to host Ryan Pepiot and the LA Dodgers. At 12:35 in Cincinnati, Vladimir Gutierrez and the Reds are going to host Adrian Hauser and the Milwaukee Brewers. Adrian Hauser enters his matchup with a 3-2 record, holding a 3.42 ERA. At 2:35 in the Bronx, Jameson Taillon and the New York Yankees are set to host Jose Barrios and the Toronto Blue Jays. At 2:10 in Chicago, Vince Velasquez and the Chicago White Sox are set to host Aaron Savali and the Cleveland Guardians. At 3:40 on ESPN+, Merrill Kelly and the Arizona Diamondbacks are set to host Sandy Alcantara and the Miami Marlins. At 3:40 in Seattle, Logan Gilbert and the Mariners are set to host Bailey Falter and the Philadelphia Phillies. At 3:45 in Oracle Park, Alex Cobb and the San Francisco Giants are set to host Chad Kuhl and the Colorado Rockies. At 4:10 in Petco Park, Nick Martinez and the San Diego Padres are set to host the Chicago Cubs. At 7:05 in Nationals Park, Aaron Sanchez and the Washington Nationals are ready to host Tyler McGill and the New York Mets. Tyler McGill enters his matchup with a 4-1 record, holding a 2.43 ERA. I'm taking a look at what's happening at 7:10 at Comerica Park in Detroit. Joey Wentz and the Detroit Tigers are set to host Zach Logue in the Oakland Athletics. At 7:20 in Truist Park, Ian Anderson and the defending World Series champs Atlanta Braves are set to host Nathan Eovaldi and the Boston Red Sox. At 7:40 in Target Field in Minneapolis, Chris Archer and the Minnesota Twins are set to host Jose Urquidy and the Houston Astros. 5 minutes later, at 7:45, Miles Mikolas and the St. Louis Cardinals are set to host Spencer Watkins and the Baltimore Orioles in this interleague matchup. And then at 8:05 and Globe Life Field in Arlington, Matt Bush and the Texas Rangers are set to host the Kansas City Royals. That's what the MLB is looking like as we get into today. Taking a look at what's going on with soccer, the big matchup in England would see Liverpool beat Aston Villa 2-1. Aston Villa actually scored the first goal of the game in the 3rd minute. Joel Matip would score in the 6th minute to tie the game up for Liverpool, and the go-ahead goal would be scored from their elite Senegalese forward Sadio Mane in the 65th minute off of a beautiful assist from Luis Diaz. With this win at the moment, Liverpool is technically temporarily sitting even with Man City, as they've played one more game than Man City. They're hoping that Man City will lose, as Liverpool now has 2 games left in their schedule, and they are for sure in the top 2 in England, but right now they are still kind of in an arms race at the end. Taking a look at the big game in Spain, the second best team in that country, Barcelona, will go on to beat Celta Vigo 3-1. Their first goal will come from their elite Dutch striker, Memphis Depay, and then they will go on to see a brace from their Gabonese forward, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. He scored in the 31st minute before the half, and then he would score in the 48th minute to put them up. With this win, Barcelona is going into the end of the season with the number 2 record in Spain, as Sevilla probably could pass them, but as of right now, they can't win La Liga, but they are still finishing their season incredibly strong considering how they started. They are putting some separation between them and third after they were in the bottom half of the league for a good chunk of the season. Taking a look at what is going on today, especially within those leagues, as we are seeing a lot, as what would be on Champions League or Europa League, we're going to see these games occupied by some domestic games. The big game in England, the biggest one, is going to be between Manchester City and Wolverhampton. Wolverhampton enters as the 8th best team in England, as Man City has the top record just with Liverpool, as they're sitting alongside Liverpool. If Manchester City loses, then they're even with Liverpool on points. But if Manchester City draws or wins, and they will of course have the lead in the table, but right now that's on them. The pressure's on Man City today. Chelsea, the 3rd best team in England, is set to face off against Leeds United. Leeds enters this matchup as the third worst record in England, facing relegation, so they have a lot to play for. Chelsea, on the other hand, has already with a win here, they more than likely could clinch a Champions League spot, but a win here would actually do a lot for them. So this is a must-win situation for both teams. Taking a look at what's going on in La Liga, the 3rd best team in Spain, Sevilla, is set to host Mallorca at 2:30. Coming into this matchup, Sevilla is sitting 4 points clear of 5th place Real Betis, as a win here would do a lot to help them secure a Champions League spot for next season. As their opponents, Mallorca, enter this matchup as the third worst team in Spain, as they are facing relegation very possibly, so they have a lot to play for as well. The 4th best team in Spain, Atletico Madrid, is set to face off against Elche, the 14th best team in Spain. With 3 games left in their schedule, Atletico Madrid sits 3 points ahead of Real Betis. With a win here, they more than likely could lock up a Champions League spot for themselves. But with Real Betis having played 1 more game, this is a very big opportunity for Atletico Madrid to jump on this opportunity and create some space. Taking a look at what is going on now in Italy. Today is the Italian Coppa Italia at 3 o'clock. As today is the finals, Juventus is going to be hosting Inter Milan, as both of these teams are going to be vying for one of the big Italian trophies of the year. And of course, these are 2 very historic clubs. Inter, even looking at where they are in the Serie A right now, Inter holds the 2nd best record in Italy, as Juve holds 4th. So it looks as though Inter very well could end up with the Serie A title. They could end up getting both. This is a very interesting game. We'll see how this plays out. But with that said, that's pretty much everything that I have for you for today. Today is Wednesday, May 11th, 2022, out here in this quarantine. I'm James Sims. I want to thank everyone for listening to this piece. I do hope all is well. And once everything is done today, I'll catch you tomorrow on Thursday, May 12th. I want to thank everyone once again for listening. I do want to apologize for all the names that I butchered, and I do want to thank the ESPN, the NBA, NHL, MLB, and FIFA sites for giving me all the facts and figures. I would not be able to do this without them, and of course, without further ado, I do have an episode right after this, and I just want to keep it moving. Thanks for listening. I hope all is well, and I'll catch you with more. Thanks for listening to my piece. Peace out.